Let's fucking get it, boys! Let's get it! Ah!
What is up, you huge noobs? Back at it again here with episode 2 of Inferno Coaching Guide Reviews. Thank you, IrProNoob, who's been nice enough to submit his own gameplay for me to review. Not only will I be coaching him, but hopefully you guys watching will also learn a thing or two, and hopefully you'll get your own Inferno cape. Please join our Discord. It's a community where people just like you are all trying to get their Inferno cape. We're a pretty strong network already. We've only had this Discord for a week. I've already done personal reviews where you can join the Discord and I just sit in there for every now and then for a few hours. And if you see me sitting in one of the chat Discords, it means I'm more than willing to do a live coaching of your review. I don't record it. It's just for your own personal gain, where I will sit at full intent with you and help you make better decisions and give you pointers on what you can improve like live as it's going. And I enjoy doing this a lot. I don't do this for money. It's all free. And I just want to help you guys get your cape. It's really like what I get my satisfaction from. But let's get into the review. So I was initially going to fast forward through this and get to the later waves, but retrospect, I don't know if you missed it or not, but you actually missed a nibbler right here. You can't do this on an early wave. You only have one blob and 2 bats. And in the early waves, you need to keep these pillars shouldn't lose any HP at all, because you can easily risk just running out there, praying range, tank the blob with mage attacks. It doesn't really matter. This nibbler needs to die as soon as possible. And I noticed, look how much time elapses while this nibbler is doing damage on a very, very low wave before you actually kill it. I don't know if you forgot that it was there and you just so happened to like not know, and then later you looked on and you saw it. But you can see it right here again. This whole pillar is losing HP, and maybe now you just noticed it, but this HP still should be full, and you let a lot of that HP go. I know later on the waves, it's a great idea to prioritize your safety over the HP of the pillars, but in order to be able to prioritize your HP on later waves, you have to prioritize the pillars on the earlier waves. I was also skimming by it, and this is another example of maybe trying to kill the pillar or the nibblers a little bit earlier on these lower waves. I know how it is. You think you red barred them all right here, but there's a bunch more underneath them, which is kind of funny. And I know I just talked over it, but yeah, like you did say before, you did give me a disclaimer, you did swear a little bit there, which is kind of funny. So again, I was just going to fast forward this, but I noticed that you're making a bunch of the same error right here. You left one nibbler get away, and the other nibbler survived but is frozen. In this situation on a very low wave, just 2 bats and a melee. All you need to do is just pray melee. You'll tank the bats. You need to kill these things and also follow through your shot, because it's going to be very hard to return back to this safe spot, which is what you're trying to do when you have 2 things alive here requiring 2 separate barrages, because you don't know you can't finish this in 1 barrage. If you have 1 barrage, I could see trying to barrage this once and running back, but you have 2. So in this case, I told the last guy, it's like an alley-oop. You gotta throw the ball up. The ball's like over here right now, and you gotta dunk it, or else it's just gonna go to the other enemy team, and you don't want that to happen. You gotta follow the shot all the way through. There's still 1 nibbler alive, and you're choosing to kill the bat. In this situation, low wave, you could easily tank the bats, pray melee, run over and barrage that nibbler. But instead, you decided to kill the bat, which wouldn't be a bad decision to later waves, but you have to understand your priorities are different here in the lower waves. These pillar hit points mean a lot to you at this stage, because later on, it's like putting money in the bank. Later on you'll have more money in that bank to draw out of when you need like a loan. You know what I mean? It's a hard time. Coronavirus has been hitting you, and you need a loan, and you have that space when you have that HP. But if you don't get these pillars as much HP as possible, you're not going to have as much loan later on. I noticed this wave went pretty normally. You have 80 SGS spec right here. This melee should be SGS spec'd, because you're starting the next wave with only 71 HP right here. So I know it's a low wave and you could do this, but you don't want to get in a habit of leaving your HP lower than max. I'm noticing the same issue here. You have 100 spec and the melee are on you with low HP. I know you could just tank it out with melee, and you might want to use your spec on that blob. But if you use just 1 spec in this situation, that you always want to have your SGS spec regenerating. If your SGS spec is sitting at 100, it's not doing you any good. You always want to have that spec regenerating, that way you're using it as much as possible. If you use 1 SGS spec here, by the time you kill your and killed the blob the whole way, you might have that same SGS spec back and have 2 specs again anyway. It's just like getting a free spec. Oh no, and then I'm probably not going to edit that, but this is literally the same exact play, and you're still sitting at 100 HP, and you only spec'd 1 of those blobs. I think you should have spec'd 2 of them. You could have potentially had 3 specs out of that whole thing, and you only got 1. And in this next wave, 2 blobs and a melee. You didn't freeze the nibblers, you barraged them, which is fine because they're all dead. And that's a decent solve. I like the fact that you're able to pillar transition there. Some people are afraid to run across the pillars, but you are not, which is a very good thing because you did a very good solve right there. Both blobs were kind of an issue because the melee was posing a threat, and this definitely solves your issue. So this is a really common issue I saw. I coached a guy the other day live through our Discord, which by the way, you should join the Discord. He was able to do this, but it turns out you can't right here. I noticed that you started the wave from this pillar, and you're really late on walking over here. This can turn into a big issue if you fall into this habit and you're not quick enough to react to it on the later waves, and you kind of panic because of it. You don't have your mage gear on. You're in your blowpipe. You don't have barrage on ice barrage. You have it on blood barrage autocast, which is fine if that's the thing that you like to do. I personally like keeping it on ice barrage because it's easier for me to start off the wave like that way. And the barrage comes in really late because look, they've already made it there, which means you can't possibly stop them from doing damage. So you're gonna have to kill them now. You got lucky that you got a 40 experience drop, so they all died. But in this situation, now you have 2 melees on you, and you're still not praying melee. So I'm gonna guess you're gonna take melee damage here. No, it looks like you ran far enough away, and I, again, would never coach you to use this pillar, because I just personally don't like it. I guess it's fine when you have 2 melees and you know that that's the only thing you have to pray against, but it's fine the way you solved it. In the future, I would be very weary about going to this pillar. This pillar just causes issues. There was only maybe 1 time in my entire life I've told someone to go here. I've noticed now, again, skimming through, this is, I think, several times that you've done this. You have an ice barrage, the nibblers, and they've made it all the way to actually do damage to this pillar. And I noticed you ran away, that's fine there, but if you ice barrage, no damage would have been done. They would have been stuck. You would have stayed HP on that pillar. If it was my recommendation, I think you might be better off trying to have your Kodai set to ice barrage instead of blood barrage. What I do is I manually switch it to ice barrage before the end of each wave. And after you missed a flick there. After I do the initial solve, like I'll have 1 minion left. At this point, I would switch it to blood barrage. Blood barrage this, which I don't know why you're not blood barraging this ranger because you're 61 HP right now. I would have been blood barraging that ranger on my Kodai on auto blood barrage, and then I would have manually switched it right now once it died to auto cast ice barrage. That way I only need to 1-click the nibblers without actually having to switch it to ice barrage, because I've noticed again you've been forgetting to switch it to ice barrage. You're late on this wave. You're gonna miss those nibblers again. You're gonna blood barrage them. They're gonna do damage.
I've still got fucking blood barrage on.
Oh, that's funny. I want to get that voice one more time.
I've still got fucking blood barrage on.
Yeah, I mean, you admit it. I think you've noticed now several times. Do yourself a favor. Put your Kodai on ice barrage, please. You forgot to blood barrage the rangers. You know that by now. You forgot to turn your blood barrage on. You're running away before they're actually dead, even though that you know that both these can only damage you at range. You're perfectly safe just staying here and blood barraging these until you die. And again, you can be blood barraging this bat, blood barraging this range minion, and again, lower waves. You should be doing a little bit better of a job prioritizing the hit points of these 3 pillars. Okay, it took me a second, but I think I understand what's happening. You may not be 94 magic, or you were barely 94 magic, because I noticed right there, you tried auto-casting it on Blood Barrage, but you can't because your mage is minused by 2. This is why it does help to be a little bit over the 94 minimum magic level. I understand that maybe that's something you could just get your mage level up like a level or 2. Okay, I will put this in here for the clip. I noticed you finally switched your Kodai to Ice Barrage, so thank you for doing that, because you notice how you misclicked there. and then you once clicked it. If you had it on blood barrage, you would have missed the ice barrage, and that would have been a blood barrage. You would have lost HP, but you did a good job of saving that pillar's HP by ice barraging. So in this wave here, I initially thought you were starting off pretty good, because this is kind of a freaky solve. You got to get out of this spot because of the melee, and you know that you're not going to be able to freeze both of these nibblers because they're separated too far. So you're going to want to bail out of here and run. I don't like going to this pillar, and it's not a good option because you'll have the range, bat, and melee all coming around you, so that's not an option. You don't want to stay here. So the only option that remains to you is to go around to this pillar on this side, kind of like following your shot. If these nibblers are running this pillar and you know that you can't get to them right away, you got to run towards them and then like run back to this pillar. It's a lower wave. The major still hasn't come out yet. So again, you want to prioritize these 3 pillars. And this pillar, you've let the nibblers go to it a little bit too much at this point. You can see it's already almost half HP. And at this point, you did a good job freezing one and trying to run to this pillar. You made the correct decision of where to go, but I think you could have made your trajectory, because your trajectory right now is to go across this side. Your trajectory could have been more like this, and when you're running this way, turn around, give a second barrage, maybe even a third if you still haven't taken big damage, and then go there, because you could hit this nibbler on the way. I noticed right there you did click, but for some reason I don't even know why it did not register. And then you went around this pillar, and I noticed you notice it, you see it, and you decide, hey, I'm not going to take out that nibbler right away because I want to kill this range. I understand you're trying to eliminate one of the big threats before you're prioritizing killing the nibblers. This is great to do on waves that are later than this once the mage is out, but this isn't something you should be doing on these waves. This pillar, you don't want this below half HP before the mage spawns. You want to keep these pillars as high as possible. Now you're going for a barrage when this range still hasn't even died. So there was really no point in you coming over here and waiting to kill this nibbler like in an attempt to kill this ranger, because this ranger never died and it's still a threat to you. You should have just killed this right off the rip, and you would have been in the same exact situation, with the exception of this pillar would be higher HP. Instead of being roughly here, it'd be probably roughly here. So you probably put its HP down by a quarter when you didn't need to. If it was up to me, I think I'm going to predict, I don't know the way you die, I haven't looked for it in this playthrough yet. I'm going to say that right pillar is going to fall, and then you're going to get stuck trying to kill a nibbler on a later wave because you were forced to, when you could have avoided being forced to kill that nibbler had you made better decisions on these lower waves on when you're DPSing the nibblers. Please do not start this wave with 8 HP. Or 8 prayer. Oh, you are starting with 8 prayer. 8 prayer starting on a wave is really risky. You're going to need to barrage this twice, and following your shot's the best option. Yeah, that's a kill. You could either run to this pillar or run back. You've chosen to run back in this situation. I think you would have been better off just following your shot to this pillar. Honestly, I would say if the nibblers go to a far pillar, and you have kind of a weird spawn where maybe coming back here isn't the best option, because now you're going to be stuck with, you need to stay in this corner spot because of the bat. This blob and this ranger are going to be hitting you, and you can't draw on this ranger right away. So you're going to be in kind of a sticky situation here. If you went to this pillar, you would have only had to deal with the melee digging to you, and I think everything else would have lined up right behind that pillar. And also, I noticed, now that I mention it, you didn't go to the corner safe spot to stop that bat from coming down. If you went to the corner safe spot, you would have been safe from the bat. Now, if you barrage these, you should be barraging these because you're 66 HP, and you're going to get smited in 3, 2, 1. You're smited. You're taking a ranger hit and a melee hit. Okay, you did a good job not panicking. I didn't even hear you complain. You're brewed up. You're taking more damage. All this damage could have been avoided. I'm going to rewind now, because now it's technically solved. You should be blob barraging this. Okay, that's good. Let's rewind here. Let's see again what you could have done in this wave, because this is a lower wave. Okay, they spawn. You like starting from behind this pillar. Fine spot. It's great. You notice that the range here is an issue because you can't, it's out of your range here. The blob here is an issue if you stay here because he's coming around the safe spot, the corner safe spot. The 3 nibblers are over here. You don't know what's going to happen, but you know that right here you didn't kill them. So my decision would have been analyzing this. The only minions I would have had to deal with over here would have been the bat potentially on this corner safe side. Because if you ran quick enough, that melee would have got stuck here or on this side corner safe spot. The ranger would have been pulled over here. You would have been completely fine, and you probably would have got 2 to 3 more hits on those nibblers on the way over. In addition to that, obviously, you would have started by, you need your prayer to be at like a minimum of 15 on the lower waves and a minimum of like 30 on the higher waves. You did a good job killing them here, but again, if you just made the decision to prayer out before and transition pillars, I think we would have ended up being out better off. I'm only going to say it once. Again, I'm not going to go over that you should be prioritizing nibblers more because I feel like I've already hammered that point home. But right here, you have you have the ranger right behind the safe spot. You don't need to be praying range, you could be praying melee, running down this line and DPSing those nibblers that should not be attacking that pillar. Instead, you've chose to kill the meleers, which aren't really a threat right now because you could just be praying melee against them without having to worry about anything else. But you decided to let DPS them down the entire way, or most of the entire way. And look at the HP of this pillar. This pillar is now only a quarter of that HP remaining, and the mages are going to be coming soon. This pillar is going to fall during the mages, which means you only remain with 2 pillars. Which, when you should be going in the majors, these 3 pillars should be pretty high HP. In this situation right here, you should have followed your shot. You know that 13 hit points experience is only killing 1 of the nibblers, so which means you have 2 remaining. In that situation, you know you didn't kill all of them. I would right click like this, and then I would click the last option. I know it's not going to be stats for nerds, it's going to say the nibbler, but usually the nibbler on the bottom is one of the ones that's still alive. You should be running over to this pillar too. Sometimes that, if you don't know which one's dead, transitioning pillars, again, you could run away from the bat, and then you'll have to deal with the mage. You should have been transitioning pillars here. In this situation, the mage is safe spotted, so you can run it in the line in between all 3 of these and pray range. That way the bats can't hit you. You're a little bit late on that range switch here, which is going to mean that you're going to take some damage. And that nibbler survived a little bit too long, but yeah, there you go, now you realized. Ooh, so this right here is a big no-no. This goes without saying. You can't miss prayer flicks like this. Right there. That was maybe second light. No, it was this one. No, it was the next one. It was that one, 100%, yeah. When you experience getting hit with a 58, don't stand here. You have 2 SGS specs and 11 HP, and you're going into the next wave. Don't get in the habit of ever starting at HP low when the mages are out. You have brews for a reason. I don't know how you're using your brews, but I noticed the general habit of people is they don't use enough brews. You should be triple brewing, restoring, and using both SGS specs to try to get your HP as high as possible, but instead you chose to start the next wave, and you're brewed down right now. Like, you just hit brew, which means that you're not in your mage gear, you don't have your barrage out, and you can't even cast it if you tried because you just brewed. You should have been triple brewed before this wave began. And now I haven't seen this part. You're going to run into an issue here because your mage is minus 30 and you just had a nibbler spawn. This is an issue. You don't even try to go for the nibblers. Okay, I guess you're going to try to run now because you're brewed back up. You're taking a bunch of damage here. This should actually be an okay situation, but HP's ticking down on that pillar. You got 1 more barrage. And transitioning pillars here is a very good move on your end. Okay, they're both dead. Just get behind that pillar. But please don't get in the habit of starting with HP low. Always use those SGS specs. Those SGS specs are not doing any work for you if they're just sitting at 100. And the corner safe spot is over here. You're gonna get attacked by that major when you could have, I guess, avoided it, but you were ready for it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And this is part of the same wave. I actually just fast forwarded. Like, this is me fast forwarding, like, through like a minute or two. Your spec is still at 100, and you're not even full HP. If you don't SGS spec that mage or melee minion, I am gonna be mad. You put the SGS on right now. You put it on. That's not the SGS. No, you don't ever get in the habit of this. I notice you're using a lot of prayer. Usually I don't even use a single restored potion until like wave, like almost like in the 50s. You could be saving a lot of resources. Like, honestly, I would trade one of these restores, get rid of it, put a brew in there, and just be more smart in your decisions on when you're using SGS. Because again, SGX doesn't do anything for you when it's on 100. No, you're still not using it. Please, I'm going to watch this because I have faith you're going to whip it out. You're splashing, and I know you're going to get angry because you're splashing. So you're going to take out that SGS, and we're going in the next wave, boys. Okay, this is another example of how important it is to follow up your shot. Your Kodai's on Blood Barrage, which is fine because you still catch 2 of them with the freeze. The other one got away. This is when you should be thinking to move pillars, because you got a minimum. You barrage twice, and you're going to need a minimum to do 2 more barrages, one on this cluster and one on this guy, in order to kill these nibblers. You should have, in the earlier waves, have been keeping these pillars high, but because now you haven't in the earlier waves, your mistakes in the earlier waves is now going to be taking a toll on you on the later waves with keeping these 3 up. So now at this wave, you need to keep this pillar, at least minimum these 2. So you're going to be forced over here, and you need to be DPSing these down, especially with as low HP as they are. And keep in mind, they're still not that hard because it's not Mage and Ranger. Once the Mage and Ranger are out, those are hell waves. You don't really care about nibblers there because your HPs are supposed to be high. You need this HP. In this situation, you need to be transitioning this pillar. Don't worry about the bat. Just pray Mage, take out your Justicar, run over there, maybe switch to Ancestral top quick, get 1 barrage in, back to Justicar top, and keep on going. But all this time that you're wasting is HP that you're losing. And now think about it. The only difference in you running over now is that you just don't have 1 bat on you. That's not much damage, and you're already out of this bat's range. You could have been well out of this bat's range. So you're taking the same exact damage, but you just wasted time getting over there. And you need a brew. At this point, you need a brew. 54 HP might be fine. It looks lower on here. I don't know why. But it's because that was like the exact tick you did brew. So that was very good that you brewed. Oh, that 33 actually might have been deadly. So it's very good you did. If you ever get in a situation where you're thinking, I'm low HP, should I chance it or should I brew? The answer every single time is hit that brew. You have them in your inventory for a reason. Brews don't do anything if you die. I'll tell you that. The guy I learned from another person that I was coaching in Discord, these mages could only revive every monster in your wave once. They actually can't revive the same monster twice, just so you guys know. Oh, never run with a melee range. Okay, you got lucky you got Mage there, but if you ever are running through a Mage minion, I've noticed a lot of people do this. They just click where they want to go. You need to actually click like to the side and then over and then there, because like you don't want to get melee by this. In this situation, you started this wave 62 HP when the Mage and 2 blobs are out. That's not a good idea to do that. These blobs have already hit you with several range attacks. 1 of them is hit, but to say 2 of these hit, now 3 of these hit, now you're in big trouble. You need to be brewing. 19 is deadly. You need to start flicking these. I noticed that you're having issues flicking the blobs. This is a very bad situation to be in. You're wearing Justicar, which is good. You've taken way too many hits here. I understand now you're in a little bit better of a situation that you could start flicking because you have the HP. And I know I always say use Justicar when you can, but let's see if these are off ticked. These are close enough that you can, if you're good, still catch these on the same increment flicks you're doing this. If you just flick at the long enough intervals that you're also catching this one. But in the event you can't do that, if you were trying to do that, first of all, you're say scenario 1 is if you're trying to flick both of these, you have range gear on, and you're ranging this, and then you switch to Kodai and Blob Barrage just when it dies, and then you only have the one to deal with, which you would then learn closer to you by stepping in this square and T-bowing it. Situation 2, what I would do honestly in this situation, pray Mage, Justicar on, Elion, you run to this pillar and you just reset the stack. But what you did here was take far too much damage. I will say, you did a very good job at killing the nibblers that way. Congratulations on that. You should be, you just stepped out in front. Never step out. But in retrospect, I would have transitioned pillars because you took too much damage between these 2 blob minions. Another little small error right here is your SGS specs at 100, not doing anything for you. You're low HP, you need the SGS spec, it's still at 100 SGS spec, and it's done nothing for you. You're still at 100 HP and low, or 100 spec low HP, and you're still not trying to spec this major, which you should have spec'd on the blobs, but if you forgot to do that, you need to be doing it on this major. You are starting too low of HP. That's another issue. You got to break that habit. Low HP, low prayer, and these are the later waves now. So this is a crappy spawn because you can't get. You have to do a minimum 2 barrages. Oh, you caught a lot of them, if not all of them. Pray melee. You could have hit the 1 pray melee and then started running over with pray mage, but if in this situation what you're doing is good, running over here, if it was me, I would honestly keep on running away from the melee, that way you don't have to take a potential 48, which is deadly. Again, look at his prayer low at 7. That's a little bit too low to be starting this wave. Your trajectory should be kind of like a move over here while barraging these guys and then make it over here to this pillar. Instead, you kind of just face tank, and so running back is a really bad idea because you're just going to have to keep on prolonging the inevitable. You're never moving out of this melee range while you're not praying melee, which means you're taking damage. This pillar is okay now, but you forgot to cast barrage there, and it's so low that it's going to be losing health soon. Oh, you did cast barrage and you killed it, which is good, but I think that the better decision would have been just to run over here. And then also, I noticed you restored, which is good. You noticed your prayer was low, but starting this low of prayer and HP when you could have avoided that. Look, your SGS spec's still at 100 and it's not doing anything on this melee minion. You got to be paying attention to your SGS specs more and keeping your HP and health a little bit higher, which could be done by using those SGS specs. I'm just going to fast forward here for a few seconds, see if you do use those SGS specs at any moment. Now, you are barraging, which is good, but those SGS specs still are just sitting there doing nothing. And you're 9 HP, you're not full. Okay, you are not full HP, you are not full prayer, and you're starting the next wave with 100% spec without your mage gear on. You're not in this right spot or anything. You need to be a little bit more prepared going into these waves. And this is an easy wave. You should have absolutely no issue, even with low HP and prayer on this, because it's probably 1 or 2 barrages. The melee is going to be safe spotted here. The major, so long as you're praying mage, you only have to take the bat, which you should probably only take 1 to 2 hits before you're able to step back over here, which is definitely the move to step back because the nibblers are coming to this pillar. So it's a 39 stat, may or may not be a kill. Yeah, the way their HP rounds up, it looks like that one didn't kill. Since you do have them frozen here and you did take a hit or 2, and you're low HP and prayer, killing that bat's fine. You could just step back 2 squares or so and take out that nibbler. Yeah, so you were... yeah, now you notice you should have stepped back 2 squares. I'm not even going to rewind it because you know your error there. You stepped out, but luckily enough, you were smart enough to be praying mage, which is a really good precaution to take. And you are... Please restore. 3 prayer is just not enough at this point. Hit it. No, yeah. There we go. 31 prayer. And you should be barraging that one. And you're for the past 3 waves, I think now, your SGS spec sitting at 100 won't do you any good sitting at 100. Let's see if you use it. You gotta have faith. 53 prayer, and magic is really hard to hit against this guy. You did get a good hit there, so that's nice. But SGS, I understand. SGS spec is ideally used on the blobs, the nibblers. Just a fun fact, the way SGS spec works is if you would have hit a 40, but the max prayer or the max HP left was a 10, the SGS still hits you based on that 40 that you calculated. Even though you physically only hit a 10, you still get all the healing of hitting a 40. So it is very good to use it on the nibblers and the little blobs. You're still blob barraging here again. SGS spec could easily be used. This is a late oh, why? This is a late. You never got a barrage on the nibblers. These are all low HP, and you're getting very close to the range mage ones. You're also praying mage, you're not praying against the melee, and now you're just starting to attack the nibblers. Not only are you still praying mage, you're taking damage from the melee and range, so your pray mage isn't doing anything for you, you're still just taking damage. You should have frozen these meleers. Okay, let's go back and see what you should have done. Okay, you should have already been in your gear, already had the ice barrage out, and it's one click because you know that you could potentially freeze all three. Just okay. Another thing that I noticed you're not doing, or I haven't been checking if you're doing, you should be praying augury. Once the major spawns, augury always on. It gives you not only defense bonus, which by the way, augury does give you a huge defense bonus. It also gives you an offensive attack and accuracy bonus to kill these nibblers a lot more consistently. Always pray augury at the beginning of these waves. What I would have done is I would have immediately smacked it with augury and one barrage, and then I would have ran to this spot because this melee would have been safe spotted, and you know that all you have is a major potentially up here, and I think this one was a bat. Instead, you had two bats. So if you would have been standing here, you would have had one barrage, and then just probably pray mage and just kill the bat, kill that bat, and then you would have been fine to run back over here because the melee would have been transitioned to this safe spot. You would have moved to like this safe spot from the melee, and you would have been fine. You could have taken out the melee and then dealt with the range or mage later with all the nibblers have been frozen. Instead, you missed your freeze, and I don't know why here. You should have went for a freeze on the nibblers. Instead, you chose to, I guess, freeze the melee, potentially trying to lock it in place. That way you didn't have to deal with it, but you missed. And then you went for the nibblers. I think it should have been nibblers first. And if I would have waited that long, I would have honestly gotten out of there. Because if you're praying mage, the only damage you're taking is range. If you're out of this melee's range, which you would have been if you had moved like this way and then try to barrage nibblers maybe when transitioning to this pillar. I like transitioning to this pillar a lot. I think maybe you should be looking to move there a little bit more. The whole point of using Justicar is transitioning to this pillar is free. You don't need a flick. You just put a Justicar on and everything gets tanked. It's like magic. I swear to God. Anyway, I swear to God, if you just go over there, you would have been fine. But instead you stayed here. You're praying something that isn't attacking you and you're just taking a lot of damage. And you're still not attacking these nibblers. I guess your auto barrage wasn't on, you were just single casting, or, oh, no, you have been lowered -2 prayer here. You should be more aware of, since your magic level is very low, it's too close to the limit of barrage. Whenever you get lowered by these bats, you're unequipping your auto barrage, which means that you're going to run over here and melee it, which puts you're pretty melee right now, which is good. At least you switch to what you were being attacked on, but now your immediate issue is this mage will see you and you need to be praying magic. And right here, you melee it, the mage attacks you, and you're not praying against mage while you're still taking these bats damage, which is lowering all your stats. So you need to be, not only you need to be restoring now because of this predicament you've gotten yourself in, you would potentially need to be restoring or brewing as well because you got potential massive damage coming. Oh no. I didn't watch this far. I can't believe it ended there. So that is really unfortunate. Oh no. My hands are so far in my face right now. This sucks. And I don't want you to get mad and think that you misclicked, because here's the issue. Yes, let's rewind 5 seconds. Here you are fine, and this right here could be considered a misclick. Some might say you misclicked because your cursor is a dragon scimitar. I wanted to beat around this bush as long as possible, but now that you've been exposed for using a dragon scimitar as your cursor, I don't think I could prolong this issue anymore. But I think, you know, regardless that you were using a dragon scimitar, you misclicked. When you should be more aware that your magic is low and these bats lower your magic stat. So now you've unequipped the barrage. You're in danger. Oh wow, I didn't notice this. You're already in the habit of starting at very low prayer points, which shouldn't be your thing. And you were a little bit late right here. You had all this time to potentially switch to magic, which you now have just noticed. I see your cursor quickly go over here. You're like, oh no. But you're too late. I see that you see that the like literally one tick that you missed that mage by. This is the tick right there where you hit. The mage saw you and you were like, the next tick you activated your prey mage. But all of that could have been avoided. I'll go back. If you never got in this situation in the first place. The thing about beating the Inferno is that I understand you'll make a lot of very small errors. And those errors are very punishing. And everyone hates the Inferno because they get punished by these small errors and they get set back several hours. But my whole thing is you want to have your strategy to avoid ever making those errors in the first place. In engineering, we have things called eliminating error, and then there's engineering controls, and then there's administrative controls. And administrative controls are And then under that, there's PP, which is your protective equipment. Right now, your protective equipment is your Justicar. Your Justicar is your last line of defense from having you to take damage. Above your Justicar is your administrative controls, which is how your mentality is approaching your task. Your task right now is you want to take as little damage as possible, keeping these pillars high and make it all the way to Zuck using little resources. My administrative control that I'm going to tell you is that you're going to be a little bit more aware of your mage level being a little bit lower, and that the strategy you could be using with your first error here, let's just break it down one by one. Your first error here was that you weren't prepared to kill that blob. Your second error here, you're not praying augury. Your third error here, you're not prayed up to a minimum of 20, like I would recommend 20 to 30. So there's 3 errors right there. Your fourth error is not recognizing that you have this safe spot to prevent you from dying from that melee. If you were standing in this safe spot, all you would have had to pray was pray mage, and you would have just tanked those 2 bats when they only got closer, which you could have then blow piped if you, I don't know how many errors this is. I'll probably keep them on the side, probably somewhere close to around here. What area you're on, but if you were then lower HP, you should have been blow piping, not kept on trying to pray or barrage them. So then another error here is choosing to barrage these. Okay, you wouldn't even had to make these choices from this point on. This is the cutoff. I'm saying from here on out, if you had kept up with maybe the priorities that I have in my guide part 1, you would have never had to make these decisions. Now all these decisions that you're being forced into are subpar decisions. So then you've chose to attack the melee before you've ever frozen the blobs, and because of all of your errors on the lower waves, all these pillars are very low hit points. These pillars should have been prioritized earlier. So another error is you're sitting here and you barrage this first. Another error you've made, you should be praying melee right here, because you're not being attacked by the mage. Another error this is fine because you're not lowered yet. You've noticed that you haven't killed them all because you need to barrage them one more time. This is fine. Again, still not praying augury, and not only do you need to be dealing damage, you need to be tanking. Augury is your best friend in this situation. Okay. So you've taken some damage here. So this is error. Another error. You notice that you're -1 HP. You should be aware you need to prioritize bats running away from them more than other people because of your lower magic level. You could potentially bring in imbued heart, which would again cost you a resource, but that imbued heart would ensure that you don't run into this issue of being lowered by the bats, your magic level. The other error you've made, again, obviously, is not only being unaware that the bats lower your magic level, the other error you've made now is trying to attack these nibblers without the appropriate magic level. You get lucky that first attack doesn't register, but not only that, you attack a second time, and we all know the error here. That's big time error. And I'm assuming you get mad, I just muted the audio. I would just want you to be aware. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just telling you all the potential choices you could have made to avoid the situation ever happening in the first place, to avoid getting to the bad decisions that you then later on made that forced you to die. But anyway, I really hope this helps you a lot. I'm not only doing this to potentially help you. I would love to do a one-on-one coaching with you in our Discord, which, by the way, everyone should join our Discord. I'm more than willing to do one-on-one coachings when I have the free time. Or if you ever see me just chilling on the Discord, it means I'm more than willing to view and do like a live coaching with you to help you get your Inferno cape as soon as possible. And I'm always there. If you ever have any questions, you could always ask them in the comments. I'm replying to almost all the comments, and I love doing that with you. We've had a lot of positive feedback. Let's keep it rolling. But thank you, IrProNoob, for submitting this play. I hope you get your cape as soon as possible. See you, dude.
Let's fucking get it, boys! Let's get it!